we live. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Watch Your Mouth Reviews. This is your boy James, where I'm here to give my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. Let me scoot up for this because it's not going to happen this video, but that's all right. We will live to fight another day. Joining me as always is my co-host, Mrs. Best. Y'all say what's up to her.
Hi, beautiful people. Thank you for having me, James. I do hope that you all subscribe to James's channel. He puts a lot of effort that I think is respected into this channel. So I hope that y'all subscribe.
Oh, thank
Like
you
the
so
video.
much. Thank you for being so sweet, you guys. I appreciate that. And while you're subscribing to me, please subscribe to my girl, Mrs. Best. Any reviews or recaps I don't cover on my channel, it's because we're going to cover on her channel. So far, we have Love and Hip Hop, both Miami and Atlanta. We have Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I'm actually going to do Mrs. Best a solid by going over the reunion looks for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills on my channel, because right now we just got them released and everybody looked a hot ass mess. So we are going to cover it, y'all.
That is why I sent it to you, please, because I
Yes,
don't do that.
yes, we're going to cover the fashions on my channel. So I am excited to do it. And I thank Mrs. Best for allowing me that opportunity. Thank you so, so much. And while you're subscribing to both of us, also subscribe to Shana underscore MCD's channel. She has a current and new channel that she is trying to get monetized for both. And we absolutely want her to get monetized on both because she well deserves it. And I'm going to tell y'all, Shana was the very first content creator on YouTube to embrace me. I'm always going to show my girl some love and always going to support her. And I ask you guys to do the same if you're not already subscribed to both channels. Let's see who's in here already. Shani's up in here. Hello, my love. Thank you for being here. Yeah, you always first, love. Always. We appreciate you.
When
Hey, DM Rocks. Hey, Nene, Eva, and Mary are rumored to be on the next season of Traitors. I hope that rumor is true because I will recap that. That is phenomenal if Bravo can pull that off. If Bravo can pull off Mary, Nene, and Eva, oh yeah, best season of Traitors. I guarantee you, best season of Traitors. I could see Nene and Mary getting into it. Oh yeah, I could see it. I haven't watched it. I watched the season that Phaedra was on. I did watch that season. I just didn't understand the concept because it was giving me Big Brother, but a little bit of a clue, if that makes sense, y'all. It did. I don't know, but we'll see. But yes, if they pull that off, I will definitely recap that. Another show I'm planning to pick up is OWN has a TV show, a dating show with men and their mamas. I forgot what it's called, and it slipped my mind. I am going to pick up that show, so we'll do that on my channel. And Mrs.
that will be fun.
Yeah, and Mrs. Best is going to pick up Never Ever Met season 2. So we're both going to have another show on each other's channel. Now, I'm going to tell y'all like this. I don't like the concept of that show, and y'all know how I feel about mamas and their sons. So that is going to be a great show for me to recap. So if y'all are ready for that, it's going to go down on Watch Your Mouth Reviews. It really is. All right. So let's get into Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let me get my notes here because we got a lot to talk about. They did a whole bunch of foolishness, and I got to get into it. So the episode actually opens up with Britt. She is having her in-laws over for dinner, and she mentions how she is all about family and all about this. What happens with mamas and their sons? There's a TV show on OWN they're premiering next month that is centered around the dating show. It's kind of like what's the show that you recap, Mrs. Best?
Which show?
The show with the dating concept that Holly Robinson, Pete, and her husband have.
Oh, Queen's Court.
Kind of like Queen's Court, but except with men and their mamas are in the mix. And I'm not with that. So that's gonna be a fun show for me to recap. Mary's going to be funny all after her. She really is. And she's gonna call everybody out. Mary gonna win the show. I'm calling it first. Mary's gonna win the show because Mary's discernment is so spot on. It's like, oh yeah, she's gonna win. For sure. She's gonna, unless they make her a traitor. Hey, Shana. Okay. Make sure you come back and watch me. I'll watch you at work when I get there. Yeah, so Britt meets up with her in-laws and directly she's talking about how she's all about family. She also talks about how she was this video vixen and she's dated rappers, she's dated ballers, and they just were never ever ready to, settle down. So overall, she was happy when she met Mike because he seemed like he crossed all of those T's, dot all of those I's. She was really happy about all that. So one of the producers said, "We heard that you dated Rick Ross." And she admitted it. She dated Rick Ross, which, are you surprised about that, Mrs. Best? Because I don't know how I feel about that. She looked like the type.
Brittany Edie dating Rick Ross.
Yeah.
I remember when they dated.
I don't, we'll see. I've never
And that's
seen her
not
before.
the only relevant. She's not ran through, but well, she is a little bit ran through. But she's a pretty girl.
She is.
So
She's
of
beautiful. She
course
looks like
hip
Nicki
hop is
Minaj. The more I
gonna.
look at her, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I don't want to say that she's ran through like because if a man was doing the same thing, nobody would think nothing of it. But I do remember Brittany Edie. That's why I'm surprised to see her on this show. Cause I'm like, ain't you a groupie? What you doing, Bravo? This ain't loving hip hop.
I ain't never seen this lady in a day of my life. I didn't know who she was, didn't know what she came with. All I know was video vixen that she said herself and that she dated a whole bunch of rappers and ballers, which I'm not mad at. I'm really, y'all. The older I get, the more I understand why dating those kind of men are pertinent in today's time because we going through some rough times right now. So I understand, like, ladies, y'all stop, put that shame aside. If you can get it how you get it, men too. Hell, men too. If you can get it the way that Brittany get it, then get it. I'm not gonna be mad at you. Y'all can never say James from Watch On My Reviews. He gonna tell you, get it how you can get it. Because I'm telling you, times is hard. And if they got the money and enough to go around, go ahead and get it. Because I'm telling you, I can't imagine her dating for any other reason but that. But anyways, at the dinner, Mike has her husband, Mike, his sister, her husband, and children are at the dinner, and she mentions, wanting this ceremony. Mike want to just have a baby. I think he's not into the whole pretentiousness of, how everything looks, the regalia, the same way Brit is. Brit looks like she's over the top and wants everything to be extra. He just wants his baby. So they're not really on the same page with things. And I think that over time they will be. But for now, this is what he wants. This is what she wants. And so after dinner, she takes her sister in law downstairs and they begin talking about, um, her family situation, why family is so important to her. We learned that Britt's father died, and, in the transition of him dying and building his business, when he transitioned to another job after getting a $2 million policy, he had lost his life, and the policy went in void because he changed his job. So the reason why she started her business is because she had to have a GoFundMe. She didn't particularly say what the GoFundMe was for. I don't know if she was trying to say it was for the funeral or if it was to help her mama. She didn't really say what it was for, but she said that she doesn't want people to go through what she went through, which I can respect that to some extent. And when she said she opened her business, her and her sisters decided to do it together. When Britt decided to close the business, she said that one of her sisters said that she was a mean boss, so she went off and did her own thing. And then the other sister was way too comfortable, so Britt had to fire her. So right now, her definition of family and where that's going in this circled moment for her is that she's not in a good place with her sisters, and she needs to be because she feels like she needs them. I feel like, your mama is there. So yeah, why are we bridging gaps? But I can understand sometimes business and family, y'all, it does not mix. It just doesn't. So I understood both ways. So Mrs. Best, how did you feel about hearing Brittany's story?
It's the same story we've heard 1,000 times amongst various storylines of various reality stars since reality TV was created. I think it's unfortunate that she lost her dad. I also think it's sad to have to then find out while younger, because she said she was 16 or something. Like, oh, a 16-year-old should not be concerned with insurance policies as it relates to burying their parent. So, uh, that's unfortunate. But other than that, I really did not care. I am bored by her so far. Her interactions with the other women, boring. She seems to say more behind their back thus far. Her interactions with her family, boring. I don't care. We know that business and family don't mix, yet people consistently try to do it. The only way business and family mixes is when everyone in the family is business oriented as it relates to mindset and they have the thought process of we gonna do what we supposed to do. Other than that, it doesn't work. Or
Mm-hmm.
unless people respect each other. But generally it doesn't. So I'm not seeing why she was cast.
I just think that maybe they saw the element that she fits some of the criteria. Because they were having casting issues with this show. Because Ming Lee was supposed to be a main cast member, and we saw her in this episode. There was another young lady that was rumored to be on the show as well, but we haven't seen her yet. I forgot who that individual was, but you could tell they were really struggling because the same way you feel about Britt, I feel about Angela, which we'll get to in a moment. But I just feel like she has an interesting story, but like you said, it has been done before. So, DM Rocks asked the question, what do you think about Britt's husband? I have an opinion. DM Rocks, you do not need my permission. Please put your opinion on there. And in the meantime, me and Mrs. Best will both give ours. My opinion on him is that I think he loves her. I just don't think he likes her. Mrs. Best, what is your opinion?
I think her husband is more concerned with how she makes him look and more concerned with her maybe as arm candy and just saying he has the wife, saying he's going to have the child. It doesn't seem like that man likes her. It doesn't seem like he likes her family. The husband is weird. He seems like a little pervert on the low. That's just my opinion. Not like, doing inappropriate things to people or not getting consent pervert, but he seems like the type that's like peeked through a few windows
Was it
that were
ever
accessible.
discussed? Because DM Rocks has an interesting point here. Was it ever discussed what he did for a living?
She said that he has some sort of firm or agency, but she didn't go into detail. I don't trust either of these people, DM Rocks, and I agree with you because no shade, scammers also usually be perverts, in my personal opinion. But both of them were very like surface with how they described what they do for a
It's like
living.
a surface with an inch. Like I'm gonna
But
give you
they
a surface with an inch of my business.
but they're also both they seem to both be new money. Cause we know that what she got came from Ricky Rose. We know that that's where what she got, where that came from. Because I understand you being impacted by what the insurance agency did as it relates to your dad changing jobs, and that's why I kind of was keeping it short with my opinion. So you then decided to go and do the exact same thing to other people, knowing what it feels like, because I'm sure her agency has
Mm,
also had to do the very thing that she claims was done to her family when her father passed away.
that's a good
I
point.
just got off work and I work with insurance, and
That
they don't
is
give
a
a
good
fuck if you're in
point.
hospice. Okay, they gonna move it along
Wow.
and still deny or accept. So if I lost my, and you just lost a parent, and
Yeah.
I just lost a grandparent recently, so I can't imagine saying I want to do insurance after they denied me the ability to basically get my grandmother's cremation paid for, which really did happen in real life. So I'm not being insensitive. I've gone through death. James has gone through death. For me, it's a little newer, but I'm just thinking, like, why would you want to do what you say was done to you for your business? And you're not saying that you're doing anything different to prevent other people from hurting. And you would
Right.
specify that if that were the case. And I don't know, my grandma just passed away like a week and a half ago. So I'm kind of like, I wouldn't think in this state of mind to go and do what's been done to me. Like, I'm going to fuck you harder than you fucked me. I'm just concerned with figuring stuff out. So it does seem a little shady. I may have gone too deep. Y'all could call me a bully. It's fine. Cancel me. I ain't got shit no way. But I don't trust that girl.
No, it would be different. No, the reason why I agree with your point is because it would be different if she had an organization that would help people in case the insurance does not kick in. That would be more prevalent than you starting a business in the exact same form of what you just described. That basically say your father put all this money into an insurance claim of, and it was a $2 million insurance claim, and he no longer gets it because he changed jobs in the middle of him unfortunately passing. No, you make complete sense. And now I have to look at Brit with the side eye. I have to look into her business now. I hope she promotes it on the show and shows
And
what
I'd
the money
also
is.
like to point out, just, do social work, deal with a lot of insurance. And I worked in life insurance and have friends who've also have insurance licenses to sell auto insurance and stuff. Usually, even if you switch jobs, I know that there are federal laws stating that they still have to cover you for a
Mm-hmm.
certain grace period.
Yep.
So if your dad was in between jobs, right, and he wasn't unemployed for this mass amount of time, Most insurance companies, life and health insurance, are still going to cover you for at least 30 days after you've separated, especially with life insurance because that's different. You're vested in. So I'm like, okay, I get that, but if he had a policy that was vesting like that to get to 2 million, that's not the average life
Insurance
insurance
policy. Yeah.
policy that your job would offer, because those will definitely null and void. But it's very strange, and there are a lot of holes in her story, and I don't trust her mama either. So I'm sure we'll learn more, but I'm still bored.
Agree. All right. Well, that's good. No, you brought a lot of information to light. I appreciate you doing that. So we're gonna move on, y'all. So we go over to Portia. Portia meets up with Kelly, and because directly these two did not hit it off the first episode, and Portia gets to the restaurant first, orders a drink. Kelly comes in there, and their interaction was kind of stale. Portia was throwing stuff in her direction. Here's your silverware. Do you want a drink? You do you want a drink? And because Portia doesn't know what energy Kelly is coming with. And honestly, y'all, not to give Portia any credit, because Kelly does have weird energy. She does. She has very weird energy. So I would be like that too. And basically, they, talk about Kelly, going into the information of why Portia stole that lady husband. And they brought up how that conversation started. And she was telling Portia, it wasn't what Shamia said when she brought it back to you, talking about, oh, I want to know why you stole that lady husband. It was more so I was saying I would like to, ask her a question and get to know her better. And I said, Kelly, you full of shit. That is not how that conversation went. And that's how that conversation went. So I'm wondering if Kelly was the person that made Portia question Shamia's inability to tell a story and why they may have this fractured friendship, even though their friendship may have been fractured before this. But I feel like Kelly didn't help because Kelly flat lied. Kelly said exactly at that table, "Oh, I don't know why she stole that lady husband." And Shamia got on the defense. It was like, wait. You don't know my friend to be talking about her like that. Pump your brakes. And if you want to really know her, why don't you ask her that question and get to know herself? So when Portia was saying how Shamia said it, Portia was unconventional. Like, well, did my best friend really just say at her birthday party to have this girl come up and ask me that question? And I said, Portia, don't be that damn stupid. You know damn well Shamia didn't say at my birthday party, ask Portia that question and see if that's really what happened. Damn well that's not what Shamia did. All Shamia said was get to know Portia for yourself before you make all of these assumptions. And if you have a question, ask her, which is what anybody would do in that situation after defending you. So I didn't like that at all. And that was pretty much, what they talked about. We did have a moment where, Kelly does invite her to, her event, which we'll have at the end of the episode, which I'll talk about more. But I just didn't like that interaction. How did you feel about that interaction, Mrs. Best?
I feel like Kelly could be a good addition if she would be like the way newbies come in, they come in like they've been watching the show and they kind of react to things as if they're still fans versus cast members and
Mhm.
housewives on the show. Because I get where Kelly's coming from with wanting to know and everybody watching Portia take the girl's man. Like we get that, we know. Trust and believe if you watch the show, you should know that she's being questioned on it. Things are being brought up. There's no way to avoid what's going on. And you'll have the reunion to confront it. But I don't know. Shamia does act a certain way, but I just can't get with Kelly because even with Shamia, Shamia is known to be Portia's lapdog and to just
Mhm.
constantly speak for her, defend her, and all of those things. So Kelly needs to react like she's a housewife and give everybody a fair shot and stop acting like she's still watching the show. And I think she'll do fine if she does that. But honestly, I didn't care for this interaction, and I was bored throughout most of this episode, wondering why they didn't just get a whole new cast.
She is short. I think she is something of like 4 feet something because she is very short. I was looking at her too. I was looking at the pictures of her and her husband because I wanted to know what he looks like, and they finally put it online. And I must tell y'all, he had to have had money. That's all I'm gonna say. He had to have money, or he may have had to have some access because there's no way I pictured her with him. She could do a lot better. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Um, After this scene, we then go to Drew. Drew up in the studio singing her little sad ass song, and I'm just like, Drew, I'm not here for this season. Please do not come through this season. I'm just saying, I don't want to hear no sad lullaby song from you. I need up tempo, great beat music. You know. So she has Angela, Kenya, And Cynthia, Cynthia, let me explain something to you. I don't know what you're going through right now financially, but your wigs is giving that you are in some dire need of some cash. It was this wig, the wig you had in the confessional, the wig you wore at Shamia's house, and the wig you had at Kelly's. What is going on, Cynthia? Please tell us what's going on. Because I couldn't even get this. I had to watch this scene 5 or 6 times because I was so busy distracted by what Cynthia had on her head that I couldn't get the scene right. So if my notes are all over the place, blame Cynthia's wig. That's all I'm gonna say. Blame Cynthia's wig. But so Drew has them coming over, and immediately they wanted to know exactly what was that situation with Shamia asking Drew if they were, effing. And all of them have terrible memory or they just didn't show it. But Shamia didn't ask that. She said, I heard you and Dennis may be dating. Is that true? She never said they were fucking. But I forgot in this day and time, dating and fucking are the same thing, apparently. So pretty much, she said, no, it's nothing like that. Dennis is my brother. Like, we have not had any phone conversations even. It's just all through text. And then the producer showed her on the phone with him. And I said, Drew, you lie about some of the dumbest shit I have ever heard. And then to make the lies even worse, she said, they asked, well, have you talked to Portia? And she goes, well, I text Portia. And then in her confessional, she gonna say, see, I text Portia. I said, girl, we need to get together. There's something I need to tell you. Girl, when you in town next, I need to tell you something. Them text messages didn't say shit about, you working with Dennis. So Drew makes us tourists look bad. She really does. You don't have to lie about this shit. All you have to say is, I'm working with Dennis. I don't give a fuck about Portia's feelings. I need the money. And Dennis is willing to pay for all of this, which she explained. She said that working with Dennis, the studio is paid for, the records are paid for, the producers are paid, which I already said that. If y'all watch, but I said she went shot. Dennis did this because he was able to put up the money. And she probably signed a 60-40 deal. And I'm not going to lie, I would do it too. If I had vocals, I would do it as well. And I would say, because he's willing to put up the money. And I'm sure Drew's about to get a good $100,000 from whatever song comes out on stream. And that's a good 60,000 in her pocket, 40,000, because I'm sure he did pay no more than 25. So I'm sure that this is an equal trade here. So I don't know. Hi, Naya. Thank you for being here, my love. I appreciate you. Why not pick up the phone and call? Exactly. Cynthia's going to start looking like Katie. That dude. Yes, DM Rocks. You are spot on. Katie's wig that last season she was on. Yes, absolutely. Drew J. Blige. Oh, God. Channy. I heard Drew's album is really good. I heard that as well. I heard it's really good. And good for her. I want it to be great. I do. I want Drew to have success. But Drew needs to stop lying over simple shit. So Kenya tells Drew that she is wrong, regardless of how she feels, because she should have reached out to Portia and confirmed that this was okay before she went and did it. She's not liking how Drew is moving. And I'm glad Kenya was holding Drew to some accountability. But y'all know how I feel about this situation. And if y'all don't know how I feel about this situation, I don't feel like Drew owes Portia that. I don't. Because at the end of the day, Dennis and Portia were not married. I can see if they were married, then yes. Just so there's no awkwardness between us. Is it okay if I work with your ex-husband for this music because he's trying to pay for it and I need the money? I feel like if that were the situation, I would be fine with. I would have been like, okay, yeah, Drew, you do owe Portia something. But they have a kid together, and this is business. It ain't like they're dating. So it's like, well, at least I don't know. Once again, I don't put nothing past Dennis, and I don't put nothing past Drew. But I just feel like, I don't feel like Drew really owes Portia that. And I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face. I don't feel that Drew owes Portia anything. Especially not business working with her baby daddy when it's weird, but at the same time, who the fuck is Portia? But anyways, enough about that. Mrs. Best, how do you feel about this scene?
So I'm kind of, as Kim Pyre would say, twerking on the fence because I'm right in the middle. I see what you're saying. Drew really doesn't owe Portia nothing because that's just the baby daddy. And as quiet as it's kept, I know people like to think that, oh, I done had his baby or she had my baby. So, It doesn't make you any more special. If you ain't gone to the court, did the paperwork, and went through the hell that the rest of us had to go through for the legality, then it's anybody can have a baby. I'm just saying.
Right.
But yeah, so I get that part. But then at the same time, Portia did put Drew on a little bit by assisting her with allowing her to become a brand ambassador. Nobody really liked or messed with Drew when she first came on the show. Portia gave her a fair shot. So I see that part of it. If they was like close friends, it's messy to me because you just shouldn't deal with nobody your friends dealt with. That's just girl code. That's the way most women are. But if you are gonna do something, and I believe it was Cynthia who brought up like people done stuff in this group of my baby daddy, but it's the respect. It really is the respect of it all. At least let the girl know it's happening. I don't think Portia needs to give permission, but she should have been made aware of it. But I don't know. To me, Drew's a liar. Portia's a liar. It's probably why they were friends. Dennis is a liar. Simon's a liar. So it's just a little foursome of liars. So I don't feel sorry for Portia. I don't feel sorry for Drew.
I feel like if I need to come up and if I ain't got the money to do it, or if I need the access to do it, or I don't want to spend my money to do it, and somebody else is going to be a fool, I feel like I'm going to allow that person to be the fool and take the L. I'm not, I don't feel like for me, I was trying to put myself in Portia's shoes. I really was. I was trying to say, okay, if I had a baby with some man and one of my friends that I also in business with wanted to work with him, how would I really feel about that? And to me, and as I said, y'all, unless I was married to you, I don't feel like I would really care. I just don't. And I don't feel like you owe me a conversation about anything or even a little heads up. I don't feel like you owe me that if it's strictly business. Now, if it come out that y'all was a couple, then yes, I would feel differently. I would feel like, okay, that you could have at least told me. So I could prepare myself because you're going to be around my baby. So yes, that I would feel like yes, she definitely owes her a conversation for that. But for business, no, I don't feel that way at all. It's business. But yeah, I get what a lot of y'all are saying. A little heads up, fine. If we want to appease Portia, fine. But I don't feel like Portia deserves it. But moving on. That was Drew little scene. Is there anything else you want to add?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And I'd like to also point out that's why I say they both liars. I don't think anybody is really feeling Portia this season except the brainwash stands for her.
Right.
This is not going the way she thought it would.
No. And that's because of how she moved. And we'll talk about that. And when we get to the scene with her and her mom, that's when we're gonna talk about that. Because I didn't like that scene. Shamia catches up with her sisters, and she is mentioning, the struggles of her family always being in the hospital. We all know that her baby girl Shiloh has, had, some terminal illnesses and has constantly been in the hospital. We learned that Shamia had an ectopic pregnancy and she was in the hospital. Her daughter Shaya, even though it's a minor surgery, has to go into the hospital to get her tonsils removed. And Shamia feels like it's a never-ending cycle of going into the hospital. And she has went through 7 rounds of IVF treatments, and she's had complications from that. So she's at this point exhausted. And I saw a lot of y'all on social media trying to equate, well, she has money and everything, so she shouldn't be complaining and stuff. And I want to tell a lot of y'all people who are grinding on Shamia and y'all, and I told y'all, I am the brainwashed Shamia stan. Shamia was the very last girl I had a crush on before I went to men. And I love me some Shamia. Always, every time I look at her, she's just so beautiful to me. Y'all have to put this in perspective that just because she has wealth and money and access does not mean she doesn't go through very human things. I see a lot of y'all on social media ripping her apart for no reason. Some of y'all love her, but what y'all ripping her apart about is crazy to me because she is going through what a lot of us regular class people, middle class, and broke people do not go through. Y'all have healthy babies all the time and barely go to the hospital for a cold or flu. And she has to spend days upon months in hospitals for her children. And y'all sitting up there treating her like this. I don't like it. On social media, I was looking on the Instagram post. I almost went crazy. And y'all, luckily, my channel's not big because I would spray y'all right here and read these comments out loud. I really would, just because it's so terrible how y'all treating this girl. But I had to get on my soapbox because that pissed me off. But she's talking to her sisters and they're tired. And she's telling in her confessional, she's telling us that how her family really is, making sure that things still go on with getting her children to school, making sure everything goes well. And I can appreciate family being in solidarity like that because she's going through crazy stuff, y'all, despite her being, at the Hawks game, on the microphone and her singing, her music and her acting. She's still a mom and a wife. And she's showing us the balance of that. So I can appreciate that. Um, yeah, this coming right here. And it's like, y'all are crazy. These fans is crazy on the show. But I just feel like, she's handling it well. She still has a smile on her face. She's still showing up for everybody. And I want her in this moment to rewatch this scene. And Shamia, I want you to be there for yourself. Portia gonna be okay. Everybody else gonna be okay. You need to make sure you okay. And that's all I'm gonna say. Anything you want to add on that, Mrs. Best?
No, I hear here. Shit. I couldn't have said it better. Cause Shami is always there for Portia. Portia does not return the favor. And the shit that Shami is going through, she cannot control. Her child being ill, that's concerning. The shit that Portia is going through, she chose that.
Mm-hmm.
She literally chose it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I just feel like I want her to. My hope for Shamia is I hope she watches this back and really takes the time for her to be good and start, putting up some boundaries and some limitations to what you're willing to do for a friend. Because you don't have to do this. Like, you don't have to go so far out your element for your friends that people are looking at you crazy for. Because I told y'all, I'm not here for her being Portia's lapdog. I'm really not. I'm really not here for it. And I hate that we starting off the season like this. But it's like, girl, I need you to figure this out. Remember Robin Williams? He was always making us laugh, had a smile on his face, but he was feeling some deep down emotions. You never know what somebody is feeling or going through. Exactly. And that was my point to the fans of this show that are constantly looking at Shamia's life and feeling like she has money and access, so therefore she shouldn't have a problem in the world because I wish to be in her shoes. You don't wish to be in those shoes, baby. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all don't wish to be in people's shoes who have money and access just because they flaunt it or just because it looks perfect on social media. Sometimes it's not. And that's one of the things I learned even in my last therapy session, because I have an envious spirit. I do. I have an envious spirit. I think a lot of us do. And my therapist had to humble me and really say, well, what if the person had something they couldn't get rid of, but had all the money in the world, but they so hardly focus so much on that that the money really doesn't matter? Would you still want to trade places with that person? And I say, if you put it in that perspective, no, because I'm fine. So, you kind of have to look at things for what they are. And no matter how much money a person has, it does not mean that they don't internally suffer from something. Money doesn't make everything go away. It solves a lot of problems when you're broke, absolutely. But to see what she is going through with her children, her life, I just can't imagine. I just want to hug her because I know that that's hard. And for y'all to be on social media talking about her like that, that's crazy. It's just crazy. You don't wish to be in nobody's shoes. God put you where you're supposed to be. Exactly. Exactly. Now, it doesn't mean that, God doesn't say follow the examples. It doesn't mean like that. Just because you see someone, they may inspire you or you want to follow the example. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you're willing to do, but be willing to put in the same amount of work and maybe even work harder to be in great places. But don't be wishing to be in somebody's shoes and don't be trying to pray for people's downfalls and then don't look at someone's situation as the equate just because they have money, they don't, that what they're going through isn't really that big of a problem if they have the money to fix it. That's crazy. Crazy you talk like that. That's crazy. But I'm gonna move on from there. My well wishes to Shamia. We're gonna have another scene with Shamia coming up pretty soon here. The next thing we're gonna talk about is Angela Oakley and Charles. They go to one of their investment properties, and Angela wants to show him around because she really wants him to reel in and really wants to take this, fixer-upper real estate development thing very seriously. And as they're looking through the house, he's looking at everything, turning on faucets and showers and shit. And she's like, why are you doing this? And he goes, I just want to make sure everything works because he's invested money, she's invested money in this particular property. And Angela tells us a fun story, and I have forgot about this too. But she has said that, her and Charles have went through the ringer in their marriage. She mentioned that, one of the rough patches that they had was a 2017 Knicks game where Charles Oakley and the owner of the company or the Knicks, got into it and he was kicked out of the stadium. And that put a really big rift because he went into like some very dark places after that where they've had to live separately and right now they're still going through therapy and she really loves the therapist that they have, but he says it's too expensive. Like she's like 3,000 a month and she goes, she is not that expensive. And to me, when I was listening to them going back and forth about the therapist and how expensive she is, it comes off to me that he's just going along to get along. Like, yeah, he's just showing up to say he's showing up and to going there. I don't think he's really doing the work. And I could be wrong, and I don't really care one way or the other because I don't really care for Angela. But I was just looking at that dynamic and how closed off he is. It's given that you're not really into it and not really trying to aid and abet her. You're trying to kind of just say, I'm just here because you told me to be here. And I feel like it's the same thing with this real estate thing too. I'm just here because you told me to be here. I can give a fuck about this real estate thing. If it pop off or not, I'm gonna be okay financially. Will you? That's how I'm reading the situation, and I could be wrong. Mrs. Best, how did you feel?
I'm not feeling Charles. I'm not feeling you, Charles. You a legend, man. You a legend. The letdown that I have as a kid who liked him. I liked basketball as a kid, y'all. I was a little bit of a tomboy. But come on, Charles.
It's a
Like I
lot.
said in the first recap, and James seemed to have agreed with me, this is a woman who has gotten married and has lost her identity in her marriage, not because of her husband. She is not being abused. She is not being gaslit. She is not being manipulated. She values this marriage more than herself. Because the first thing she says is, I'm married to this person who did this back when. But you're doing good things. He don't seem to care. And then there's a lot. Me and my husband was cracking up because she says so little while saying so much. He got kicked out of a basketball game. And that led to the separation of your marriage. Get the fuck out of here, Angela. So I really just don't. I don't like these people. That you were right, Deshaun Snow,
It's the Sean
part
Snow
two.
all over again.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Because to me, it's given the shit that she left out, and I'm alleged. This is allegedly. It seemed like when he got kicked out of that Knicks game, he came home and took it out on you, and that's what led to the therapy and because the way his outburst. Because he y'all know Charles Oakley was known to have outlandish moments and tempers. So he was known for that back in the day. We're not gonna act like we could pull up articles about that. But I feel like he came home and took it out on you. And that's what led to this. And I wish you would have said that because then it would have made sense. Because that didn't make sense where you saying, oh, he was at a basketball game and he got kicked out and, he went to a dark place. What was the dark place? Be specific. Because to me, that's too early in the marriage for me not to see a red flag like that. That's too early in the marriage for me. That's why I say women, when y'all date, y'all need to learn how to trigger men. Trigger them to see what you're really dealing with. And I'm not saying intentionally piss them off. Let some shit happen and then see how he reacts to it. Because you need to know what you're dealing with when it comes to anger and when it comes to that, because you don't know who you with. Nowadays, it's not as hard as it was back when, the earlier times where it took a lot for you to trigger a man because they know you're doing goofy shit just to piss them off. But now you gotta really trigger these men because that's crazy. So I don't know what happened, but as I said, Angela is not being forthcoming at all. It seems like she's trying to let us in, but she's trying to protect it where it doesn't make him uncomfortable. And I don't like that. Don't sign up for a reality show if you're not willing to share all your business because that's what we're here for. We're here for you to share your business. We're here for us to make an assessment, like I'm doing now, of what we're looking at. And I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at realistically probably abuse, but I can't call it that because it's not coming off that way. So, let's see what your man can't get into marriage, Madison Square Garden. And that's another thing. Y'all know how many crazy people. Never mind. I ain't even gonna go there. I didn't see some crazy situations happen at Madison Square Garden where people were still allowed to get in. So yeah. hmm He is. He's not doing it for me. He don't even seem together in 10 years. Nope. I agree. I agree, Naya. Crazy men keep their crazy right under the surface nowadays. They do, and it's so hard for you to really figure that out. The status, the money, the clout. She shaved the nose to be a rich white basketball wife. I'm a hush. Her nose job, y'all. And that's why I can't watch Bondi Blue at sometimes because I be going back and rewatching the shit that she be pointed out, and I'd be like, damn, Angela's nose job is terrible. That is a terrible nose. I thought Michelle A's nose job was terrible. Angela Oakley's is way worse. It is. Have you seen that the ratings are low? Yeah, and it's hard for me to get through this episode. We're already 40 minutes in. I'm only halfway done because you got to dissect this stuff because they don't do it for you. Mrs. Best, is there anything else you want to add before I move on?
No, I don't like these people, and I wish them well off my screen.
Mm-hmm. So Shamia takes Shia to the hospital to have her minor surgery. Her baby did come out of it well, and I saw the Instagram post that Shamia posted where she was singing to her daughter, and daughter was singing. It was so beautiful. I loved every part of that. Not too much to talk about, but we have Portia and Miss Diane. Now this is some shit else I want to talk about. So Portia is talking about how this divorce is so hard and how she never thought this was going to happen and that Simon was her protector and everything, and then things just went left. And Miss Diane, she was talking about how it's hurting her to see Portia go through this because she thought Simon was her protector as well. And then they talk about Portia got her first divorce, of how it really felt like a divorce because both parties were present and wanted to get it over with. And with this divorce, it doesn't feel like that at all. And this is where I'm gonna call out the bullshit. And y'all might not like me, y'all Portia fans out there. Y'all might not like me at all, but I don't really care because this is what Portia gets. Because Portia, we not finna act like Portia didn't go to that man while he was still married to somebody else. I don't care how that other marriage ended. And flaunted like, oh well, y'all got to deal with it because I'm here now. I'm Portia. Y'all, Portia is a snake. I don't care how y'all flip this. Portia is a snake. Is she entertaining? Yes. Is she, at times fun to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta? Absolutely. But what we're not going to act like is that Portia didn't maneuver her way into that lady's home, took that lady's man, told us we need to get over it. And now that the shoe's on the other foot, now we got to have all this sympathy for her because she's on the show. Portia's an ancient ass woman. And I don't care how Miss Diane and everything. And this is another thing that pissed me off about Miss Diane is when Portia was telling Miss Diane about Shamia bringing back this information about Kelly. And Miss Diane said, sometimes you got to watch the dog that carry the bone. I said, oh, really? Do we? Did you talk? You looking at your daughter? Did you tell her that too? Because she do the same shit. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't see it for Portia. I just don't. This season is making it hard for me to have any sympathy because you know what? At the end of the day, she's a clown.
I think when they called protector, they meant financial protector.
Is that
Because
what you
her
thought?
mama, that's what I think they meant when they said protector, they financial protector. Because her mama is basically a jump off that got a ring and then couldn't keep it. Portia, same thing. Can't keep a man to save her. Let's just call a spade a spade. And then, secondly, from that, where's Lauren? Lauren used to always be with Portia, her sister. She was always with Portia till she had her baby. Then we saw before Portia was leaving the show that her and her sister weren't like as close. And her sister spoke about how Portia has to be the center of fucking attention. So I'm like, Portia, you doing all of this trying to make yourself into a victim, letting your mama down talk Shamia, which is strange because you her mama, not her friend. So why are you talking about somebody that she grew up with who you once claimed to view as a daughter? There was so much wrong with this whole scene, but I think it's also proof that the apple don't fall far from the tree, as they say. And
Mm-hmm.
secondly, your kids will repeat the cycle because Portia is the same thing that her mama is, alone with a good wig. That's it. So uh, I can't stand her.
I can't either. Like I looked at this scene and I'm like, wow, lady, how dare you? The one friend that got her back, the one friend that actually is sticking up for her, the only person really that's sticking up for her, you sitting up here saying all this talking about you worry about the dog that carried the bone? The hell's wrong? See, this is why I can't do people's mamas coming on these shows, y'all. Y'all want me to respect these people's mamas. Y'all want me to say nice things about these people's mamas, and then they do fuck shit like this where I can't.
I'm sure Shamia posted when that baby was having that procedure. Did y'all think to offer Shamia well wishes for her child, or were you just sitting up talking about her because you mad she got what you don't got?
Because that's really what it is. If we really want to put it down, that's the envy and the spirit that Portia has against Shamia, and why she don't show up for Shamia. Ever since Shamia has been with this man, Portia has not shown up for Shamia in any same way that Shamia has shown up for Portia. Because it was fine when Shamia was single, and when they was doing their hot girl summer, when Portia was getting a divorce, and we were seeing them all together like the twosome that they are. But now that Shamia got this rich man, it's now the dynamics of difference where you're not showing up to weddings, you ain't showing up to this, you talking about her like that. Then you tried to sabotage her with Phaedra. Well, I don't know what the situation with Phaedra. She just sat there and listened when Phaedra was talking all that mess about how Shamia was with Candy and Todd, and Portia just sat there quiet. It was like, oh, see, yeah, you wanted them friends. You wanted them friends. I got you, Portia. She could defend you to no degree, but you can't stick up for her not once. Okay, Portia, I got you. Because there's no way my mom would say that if I know for a fact she had my back. I would shut that up real quick. We're not gonna do that. Not
And
my mom.
Portia has to make a beef, in my opinion, with somebody. I feel like because the ways that she came at her mom about that, it seemed like it was something that was pre-planned, and I don't trust either of them because she's not allowed at the time of filming to discuss much about her divorce with Simon. She can't film in her house at the time of filming, which is why we always see her on the go with somebody. She can't talk about much. Nothing else is really going on because she gave up all her jobs to be with him. So if Drew wasn't working with Dennis, Portia wouldn't even have a damn storyline.
I've been stay winning. We appreciate you. Yep, that's exactly what it is. She's looking at the carbon copy of her. And that's crazy. I could be friends with Portia, y'all. I couldn't. There's no way. There's no way. Not no, because I can't stand a friend who likes to be the center of attention like that. That is stupid. Anyways, y'all, we got to move on because I'm about to be late to Married to Medicine again. We have Kelly's event. Kelly is throwing an event at Beaumont, and they are doing an awareness for the OI Foundation, which is also known as the brittle bone disease. So Kelly was telling us this really, really sad story about one of her daughters, it being triggered in her daughter, and that's how they found out that she had it, where her arms was not really, you know, I don't want to say it wasn't functioning, but I guess she had a bruise or something. CPS was called because they thought that Kelly was abusing her daughter. And I said, damn, it's that serious? I'm like, dang, can't do none at these hospitals. But Kelly says that the ladies, the reason why she invite them all there is because the proceeds that they spend in that time frame gets donated to the organization, which I thought was very smart because a lot of these girls shop for less. So I feel like why not shop and let some of the proceeds go to charity? Wonderful idea, Kelly. I did respect you a lot for this, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through that because a lot of people don't know what this is, and I think that this was a great way to spread awareness. We appreciate that. So everyone's showing up. Portia actually shows up on time, which I felt like was a slap in the face to Shamia, because you could show up to this lady's event on time after having a kiki moment with her at dinner, but you show 2 hours late to your best friend's birthday. Okay, Portia, I see you. So she links up with Kenya first, and they were talking, and she was telling Kenya how she has the same makeup artist as Drew, and Drew had the person there first. And so she said that when she was called a person, and Drew found out that they had to go to Portia's house next, she said Drew delayed that, so I had to get my makeup. And that little laugh that they had was so refreshing to see. I love the dynamic of Kenya and Portia this season. I really do. I hate that it had to be cut short like it did because I was living for that moment. That little laugh they had about this was so funny. Um, and after that moment happened, Cynthia shows up in another god awful wig, and I'm like, Cynthia, why are you doing this season? I cannot take you. she checks in on Portia, and Portia, gives her little spiel. I'm taking it day by day. I'm dealing this. I didn't know who I was married to, and all this. I ain't got time. I ain't got time. So Shamia gets there, and Angela notices that Shamia walks in with her kids. And Angela does like, do I talk to her? Do I not talk to her? She's asking people in the room, and I'm just like, someone get Deshaun Snow up out of here, please, because I don't have to. Y'all know I did not like Deshaun Snow on season 1, and I don't like it, Angela. Y'all get her up out here. And so things get a little awkward. So finally, Angela takes up the courage to talk to Shamia and tell Shamia, hey, I just want to, see how we were doing since the last time we met up and everything. And Shamia really wasn't trying to give Angela that energy. Like she really wasn't. She goes, well, you were trying to be Drew's mouthpiece, and everything like that. So I just figured, you know, hey, and she goes, I wasn't speaking up for Drew or anything like that. And she goes, okay. She goes, I was just calling out what you did. She was like, got it. I ain't got nothing else to say to you. We're good. I don't want to get to know you. I'm good. And she goes, is that how it's gonna be? Shamina? She called her Shamina. She goes, my name is Shamia. She goes, no, you a mean girl. I'm gonna call you Shamina. And I was looking at Angela like, that is so freaking tacky. Lady, for real. I can't with you. I cannot with her. Like, I just can't with this lady. Like, she is just so extra. And she was. She looked, Shamia, you know what? Honestly, y'all, if it wasn't for the short hair, Shamia would be bad down. Shamia with this short hair, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. Her face shape doesn't fit it. I think so too. I don't think she came up with that on her own. I don't. I don't think she came up with that on her own. I think someone told her that. Let me see here. What else happens? In the midst of that, Drew walks in with her sister mama and them kids, and was asking what's going on and everything. So she goes over to Angela, and they were talking about it. And at the same time, Portia is making her rounds. She's listening to Angela tell the story. Then she goes over to Shamia, and Shamia was like, she's over there looking like one of the Jacksons and everything. And everyone starts laughing because she did look like LaToya Jackson. She really did. It was kind of funny. Like LaToya in her prime days, not now, but like in her prime days, she did kind of look like LaToya. And they were like, why you call her in front of the Jacksons? Because she called me Flavor Flav in our heated exchange. And so King was like, oh, and Portia like, yeah, so they even now. She called her Flavor Flav. She talked about a nose. And I was cracking up when Shamia did that thing in the confessional with that nose. I was hollering. And y'all, I was just like, these two go be the light at the reunion. I can't wait. How did you feel about the exchange between Angela and Shamia?
Shamia handled it like a housewife of grace. But she
Mm-hmm.
looked at her a couple times. She said, my name is Shamia, the second time, and walked away. Um, Angela's stupid. This was not the place to do that. It's
It
an
was.
event. A mommy and me event is where you want to talk about some stuff. And then when you don't get your way, you call her a mean girl. You don't even have the coof to know where and when to speak to somebody. I want Angela and that nose gone.
I do too, because she's not fit. She's really not, and she's annoying. In the midst of all of that happened, Drew goes up to Shamia, and they hug it out, they make amends, and Shamia asks, "Have you talked to Portia?" And she goes, "Not yet." And from there, they said, "What are you eating, Mrs. Best?"
I'm eating some chicken and some macaroni and cheese and some broccoli. I'm hungry. I just got off work. My bad.
It's tomorrow. This have Real Housewives of Atlanta. Um, So in terms of that, she goes, "No, I haven't talked to Portia." So Drew was like, "I'm just gonna go ahead and talk to Portia." So as she goes, "Portia, hey, you want to go talk for a second?" And Portia looking like, "No, no." And so Shamia comes over and hugs Allison. And when Portia sees Allison, she goes, "Oh, I'm really not gonna talk to Drew because y'all know Allison is about it." So she said, "Oh, I ain't gonna talk with her with Allison here. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that." So we left off on a cliffhanger, so we don't know if these two are going to talk or not. I just feel like this is stupid. Is this all we have to do? The only beef that is interesting right now is Shamia and Angela's beef. Other than that, I don't care about Portia and Drew. I don't care about Kenya and Britt because we're gonna save that. Um, I, I go back and forth. I liked her when it came to that Courtney situation. I did because that's what I would want my sister to do. But I don't know. It's something about they dynamic. I just feel like, and I know I have to say this, but it's already on YouTube. People are already speculating this already. I feel like that's her mama. I really do. I feel like that's her mama, and that's why Allison goes as hard as she does. I just do, and that's just how I'm gonna say it. She called her sister Heavy D. I was screaming. That's because that's how she approaches everything. It's like Allison ain't got no couth. She don't. And somebody going, girl, you gonna run up on the wrong one of these days. Yeah, because it's the only thing that makes logical sense. It really does. You know, it's time to go back to drawing board Bravo and rethink some of this casting choices. I think what they thought was going to happen is that Portia and Kenya were going to turn this out, and because they had to suspend Kenya or whatever it is they did, we have to now depend on Portia, which is terrible.
I would love it if they suspended Kenya and got rid of this Brit Edie. Because separate from seeing anything that happened with the two, she doesn't give. And how dare you throw such a fit that production felt the need to suspend her when other housewives across every franchise has done worse, and then you give us nothing. So if Kenya was carrying the show, which in my opinion she has been for multiple seasons, it's time to just do a full recast or pick a new city and be done with Atlanta. There's enough shows coming out of Atlanta anyway.
It really is, and I just feel like, or y'all just need to get like, or just revamp the term of what y'all doing. Get y'all some housewives that ain't got a lot of money. I'm just saying that's how we fix this. I just think they need to keep the newbies. I think all of them have something to bring to the show. Maybe one of them. I think Kelly has a lot to bring, especially if we get in more into this divorce and these businesses. I think Kelly has a lot to bring. I don't feel the same way about Britt, and I don't feel the same way about Angela. I don't. I feel like them two, because Angela gives us surface. She ain't trying to divulge all of her husband's business when it comes to how he acts out in these streets. And I feel like sometimes you need to protect your marriage, but maybe keep that off the show. Maybe say your marriage is not for sale.
Angela is giving quad web. She
Yeah.
trying to get this show and them real estate ventures so she could build her wealth to a certain extent and then leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was smart. Portia recognized that she was outnumbered. Yeah, she did. That's because Portia, I feel like Portia's had to always fight. She gives me, I don't remember her story that much, but she gives me somebody who had to fight a lot in high school. Like someone who probably was always bullied because she probably talked too much, and somebody was always ready to slap her about it, and she always had to fight. She gives me that energy. So I feel like she knows how to watch her back and watch her surroundings very well. Remember, this is not the first time they have done this to Kenya with the suspension. When? Was it when she was trying to renegotiate when she got pregnant? Is that when? I don't remember the first time. I remember this time, but I don't remember the first time. But that was pretty much the episode, y'all. It was an okay episode. I'm not too impressed with Real Housewives of Atlanta, but I don't have anything else going on. So I'm only going to talk about the stuff that, when she got married and didn't tell them. They didn't suspend her for that. Because she came back, and I feel like we saw a lot of her that's actually the season I liked her. When she first got married, I felt like that was the season where I felt like she came off. There's probably one or two episodes where she was tripping, but for the remainder of the season and a lot of the season, she actually showed up better than she had in previous seasons. That's why I liked her. That was the season I liked her. So I don't know if they suspended her from that. I know there was something when she got pregnant where she didn't want to. I think she didn't want to film her pregnancy because she was high risk. So I think that's when Bravo was kind of like, okay, well, we're going to make it hard for you to come back. I think that's when it happened. I don't think it was when she got married. Because I remember I liked her. Yeah, she was for a whole season or two. Mm-hmm. No, bro, she got suspended for that. Either that or she got fired, but then they decided to bring her back. Yeah, that's when she got pregnant. It was when she got pregnant. That's when it wasn't her marriage because she was on that first. When she got married, she came back and she was flaunting it. We remember we didn't know the man's name or anything. They didn't suspend her because of that. they suspended her because, or they didn't bring her back because she was pregnant and she didn't really want to be in certain circumstances. So she took a break and then she came back with her baby and husband.
And she was right to leave because while she was pregnant, at the one interaction she had with the cast members, they all
Yep.
talked about how she looked, how big she was, and
Hmm.
Nene compared her to an animal that is wild and native to the African safari. So she was absolutely right to do that. To do that.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. Britt Brat can go. Angela's husband deserves a peach. No, you don't. Not if he's not going to explain and expand on his outbursts and his situations that landed him in therapy. He don't deserve that peach. Nene wants to come back, and I think she should at this point. But
I
y'all
don't
don't.
want Nene back unless she's actually going to be real, because the Nene that we had those last couple of seasons, even prior to Greg getting sick, was not, you could tell it was fake and that the money got to her head. Now, because the money's running a little low and she got to do extras and guest star on shows like the Upshaws, now suddenly you want to come back. I think it's clear from Cynthia's wigs that not all money lasts forever, and the way that Nene came for not just Bravo, but NBC Universal and what she accused them of, they would be foolish from the professional and legal standpoint to bring her back. Because what if she gets mad again for being required to do her job? What's she going to do? Sue them again for discrimination?
Not Kenya posting on her timeline traitor to Portia. Kenya, you had to know better than that. Come on now. That's funny. I just was on social media, and yeah, Kenya put that Portia's a traitor, or hashtag traitor, when she was spotted with Brittany Eady. Kenya, Portia has no loyalty to nobody but herself and her child, possibly. So yes, but that's it, you guys. I'm gonna go back to, because we late to Married to Medicine. I need to hurry up and get up there so I can eat and get out of here and go to work. So I love you guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. This show is getting harder and harder to do, and I would appreciate the like button to have 100 likes, at least 300 most subscribers. Is that possible? I'm speaking it out there so I can get monetized, because it's hard to do this show. It really is. But let's get over to Married to Medicine. We're going to discuss that, and then I got to get out of here. All right. Thank you, Biste Winner. I can't wait to see you. I'll see you guys there. Bye-bye.